Hi, everybody. Good evening. We have a lot of recipients this year, so we're going to try and keep things moving if we can. First, I'm going to welcome up Marian Wrightington, the chair of the Attleboro Historical Commission, to welcome everybody.
Thank you, Rachel. Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for coming. This is really terrific to have this many people. I'm the chairman of the Historical Commission, and I've done this program for 20 years now, but I decided it was time to pass it along to some of the younger people. So tonight, Rachel Killion, with the help of Blake Reynolds and Brian French, have put this all together, and I want to thank them so much for doing it. It felt so good for me to see it being done and not have to do it. It was terrific. And thank you all for coming tonight, but also for preserving our history as much as you have.
Would you all mind standing and reciting the pledge with us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So as Marian said, the Attleboro Historical Commission has been presenting these awards for 20 years. 2019 would have been the 21st year. Well, let me rephrase that. 2020 would have been the first year for the 2019 award. So it's always the previous year's awards that we do. We all know that 2020 did not turn out the way anybody expected, and so over the course of the next couple of years, we kept nominating individuals, but we just were never able to hold the preservation awards. So tonight's program is a whopper. We've got the 2019, 2020, 21, and 22 awards that we're presenting. We have 26 recipients. Not everybody could be here tonight. So each year the Historical Society the Historical Commission asks for nominations of people, projects that have gone on throughout the city. And so the commission nominates people, we ask the general public to nominate people, and you all made the list. It's not an exhaustive list. We know there were many more projects that people did throughout town. We just didn't quite get to them yet. Each year we ask a student from one of the schools, a senior, to read the mayor's proclamation. And so this year it's going to be Daniel Killion. He's a senior at Attleboro High School. He's the member of the National Honor Society, the Math Honor Society, a cross-country and track runner. He'll be attending Bridgewater State University for aviation management in the fall, and he's my baby.
Thank you. Historic Preservation Week, May 21st through 27th, 2023. Whereas, National Historic Preservation Week 2023 is co-sponsored by the National Trust for Historic Preservation and local organizations such as the Attleboro Historical Commission. And whereas, preservation and rehabilitation have contributed to the social and economic well-being of our cities and towns by increasing the tax base, decreasing crime, and providing additional housing opportunities for low and moderate income households. And whereas preservation makes good financial sense as it creates opportunities for private investment in historic districts and neighborhoods, as well as enhancing public investment in streets, squares, parks, and playgrounds. Now therefore, I, Kathleen D. Simone, Mayor of the City of Attleboro, do hereby proclaim May 21st through 27th, 2023 to be Historic Preservation Week in the City of Attleboro, and call upon all citizens to recognize the importance of preserving and rehabilitating our public and private buildings and homes for the future of our city. Signed and sealed 25th day of May in the year 2023, Kathleen D. Simone, Mayor.
Kathleen had another commitment tonight, so instead of Kathleen, we have Council President Jay Delicio, who's going to say a few words before we begin our presentations tonight.
Well, good evening. It's nice to be here with all of you tonight. It's great to see so many old friends and meet some new friends. So my name is Jay Delisio, and I am the City Council President, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight representing the Municipal Council. Thank you to the Historical Commission and all the recipients of these prestigious awards. This program is so important to the community, and I know I join each of you in sharing the excitement that this ceremony is resuming for the first time since 2019. I applaud all of you for taking such an important role in preserving our city's rich history, a history that dates back to 1634. Historic preservation is a vehicle for future generations to have a visual understanding and appreciation which ties us to our founders and our community leaders from years gone by. Those leaders' names are on our buildings, our schools, parks, and memorials across Attleboro. Names like Bliss, Sweet, Phillips, and Willett, just to name a few. These names and the names of many more leaders and families are woven into the fabric of Attleboro. Each generation adds their own names to that fabric, and the reason each generation is able to add those names is because of the work each and every one of you do. Attleboro is one of 347 communities in the Commonwealth, but Attleboro is unique in our approach, not just to preserve our history, but to protect it, to embrace it, and to celebrate it. Without historic preservation, generations would be silenced. Important historic monuments, buildings, sites, and stories one day would be forgotten. These stories and events are what builds a community's future. Attleboro is lucky to have so many residents committed to preserving our history, including all of you here tonight. This doesn't happen without your passion, your vision, and your love of Attleboro. In closing, I thank you for doing the Herculean work of ensuring that our future is built on the foundation of the past, which has impacted Attleboro, the Commonwealth, the nation, and the globe. Thank you for all you do, and I leave you with a quote from Winston Churchill. "We shape our buildings. Therefore, our buildings shape us." Thank you and congratulations.
All right, I'm going to ask Councilor Delisio to stay up here with me for our first recipient. So, Blake, do you want to unveil those? So, y'all are in for a few surprises tonight, and our first award is one of those surprises. And so tonight, our first award is going to Marian Wrightington. Surprise! Marian is receiving the Distinguished Service Award for her 46 years on the Attleboro Historical Commission. About half of that time she served as its chair. She works tirelessly to preserve the history of Attleboro, a city she loves so much. I'm going to get choked up now. Not only does she prepare for and chair meetings, coordinate with city officials and departments, go on site visits, but she fields endless inquiries and phone calls about the history of Attleboro, all using her own home telephone number, and usually meeting people at her house, which then usually leads to a 1 or 2 hour tour of her historic 1740s home.
It's a capering house.
Marian is an icon in Attleboro, whether it's for her historical knowledge, beautiful home and garden, her classic Corvette, or as the woman that fed half of the students in the B2 cafeteria. She will live on. We appreciate all of your years of hard work and dedication.
Oh, goodness.
Each in there and grab them.
Congratulations, well deserved.
Do you want to say a few words?
Don't know what to say, my goodness. They did this all without me knowing about it. I can't believe it.
That's what happens when you give up control.
Yeah, I guess so. I've been enjoying giving up the control, though, but I'm still chairman. I'm just letting more people do the work. But thank you so much, and it's nice to be appreciated, so I appreciate it. Okay?
You're the best.
Thanks, Jen. She's a very hard person to surprise because she insisted on coming to help me set up. And so I was trying to hide flowers and hide presents and hide posters. But we really, truly couldn't do it without Marian. She has so much institutional knowledge, and she guides us through everything. So, thank you. All right, woo. All right, now for the rest of you. So our first recipient is Anissa Amancio. So Anissa, come on up. Anissa's a third grade teacher at Hill Roberts Elementary. And each year, while teaching her students about their community, they research and write about a famous Attleboroan. So they then create a doll in the person's likeness and present about their character, their citizen. It makes us all excited that she is so encouraging, and she's training our next generation of Attleboro historians.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa. Thank you so much. All right. Our next, I did forget to say, this is our people and groups category. People and groups category. Next award goes to Ben Cody and the Friends of the 10 Mile Watershed. Ben, friends, whoever wants to come up. Mr. Doucette, thank you.
Sorry.
You take your time. So the Friends of the 10 Mile Watershed are being honored for their work on Dodge Island Cemetery and Peck Cemetery. So Ben and the Friends of the 10 Mile are dedicated to the watershed, but also its history throughout the communities it supports. They are continually working to educate the public through programs, tours, and volunteer opportunities. They have cleaned up the Peck Family Cemetery, that's the one behind CVS on North Main Street, and they annually visit the Dodge Family Cemetery on Dodge Island off of South Main Street to clean, repair, and educate the public about the history of this cemetery. We thank them for their continual stewardship and dedication to Attleboro history. Thank you so much.
Ben has asked me to be spokesperson, so I'll just say a few words. In 1995, I walked with a friend, Mark Benoit, from South Attleboro. We walked the length of the 10 Mile River. And in the process of being interested in the watershed, since the 90s, I've been involved in this. Ben used to come to our meetings, our functions. He was probably, 14 years old or so? Just a young boy, and his mom would drive him up from Pawtucket. He lived in Pawtucket, but he was interested in he's interested in 10 Mile River because the 10 Mile River is part of Pawtucket. So, to say in a few words, he and I have been a pair of bookends through the years with this watershed preservation work, and it's been a real pleasure and a real joy, and it's nice for me to see the tradition being passed on to a younger generation. Thank you for your support of the group. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Very nice.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Our next award is for Randy Jameson, and he is being awarded for the Follett Cemetery cleanup. So Randy lives nearby to the historic Follett Family Cemetery, and he contacted the commission to be part of our historic burial ground cleanup program. He and his family have become stewards of the cemetery after a little bit of a rough start with some poison ivy and some bees. But they've become the new caretakers of this old cemetery. We thank you for your persistence. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And the last person in our people and groups category is Mr. Walter Stitt. This is for his history of the Attleboro Public Library. So Mr. Stitt is the retired director of Attleboro Public Library after 36 years or so, just a few. He wrote an extensive history of the library, and in 2019, during the Attleboro Historic Preservation Society's program Inside Uptown, he presented parts of that history to guests as they came in through the old front entrance on North Main Street. Even in his retirement, he continues to be an important resource for the library and the city. Thank you so much.
I'll be good. Thank you. I enjoyed doing that tour. It made me learn some things that I didn't know, and but what I would want to share is that everything I learned was about connection of present to recent past, to longer past, to 1907, which in some ways is just yesterday. And so this community has a treasure in that library building. It's almost like a living thing. And I was glad to be able to do something to support it and to support your work because it's commendable. Thank you.
We're going to segue into the houses and buildings portion, and with Mr. Stitt sitting down, we're going to have Amy Rittlinger and Jack Jacoby come up to accept the award for the Attleboro Public Library restoration. So from 2020 and 2021, maybe they were one of the few that benefited from COVID, that they didn't have as many people coming through the library, but Attleboro Public Library went through an extensive renovation and exterior restoration. Such care and detail was put into restoring the original 1907 portion of the building, including the beautiful copper-trimmed slate roof. I wish I got a picture when the copper was still shiny, but I missed it. Refurbishing and painting the cornice and the metal faux balconies, as well as the original upper windows trimmed in the Roman lattice. That's that kind of cross sign that is the library's logo when you look up at the fourth floor windows. Thank you for taking such good care of one of the city's gems.
Thank you. I do want to recognize Jackie Romanicki, who's in the back of the room, who's been my sidekick on the Municipal Building Commission for 32 years. I was just reflecting, seeing Walter up here, that Walter called me in 1991 and said there was an opening on the Building Commission and was I be interested, and here I still am. So thank you, Walter. But it was our pleasure to be able to plan and oversee the restoration of that historic building. What we call the Marble Room is probably the nicest room in the entire city, and it's just great to be able to preserve those things, and that the mayor and council were willing to fund that important work to make sure that that 1907 building remains a gem in this city. So thank you.
Doing good. All right. Our next house is 389 Newport Avenue. James Kepfler. Sorry, Jim. Mr. Kepfler lives in the 1723 Thomas Tingley House on Newport Avenue. The beautiful exterior paint job was recently enhanced with new period-appropriate windows. The Tingley House was used as a militia training ground in 1775, and the family were known as stonecutters and engravers in the region. In case you didn't do the math, Jim's house was built in 1723, so his house just turned 300 years old. And if you didn't do the math, you might see the beautiful birthday banner he put on his house when you drive down Newport Avenue. So take a look for that. Thank you so much for taking such good care of this house. Did you want to say anything? No. Okay. You're welcome to say a few words when you come up. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. All right. Our next award is for 169-171 South Main Street. This is a father-daughter team, so Trevor and Carrie Lee Blake renovated this Colonial Revival's Foursquare. So we're gonna have them come up and then I'll finish reading. So this is the Colonial Revival Foursquare duplex. It's on the corner of South Main and Beacon Streets. It was built about 1905. The Blakes retained a lot of the house's exterior historic features, including the beautiful cornice boards around the eaves and the brackets along the roofline, as well as the original front doors, while incorporating some creative alterations so that modern families can live there now. This is your first venture together, or?
Actually, this is our, I would say, third.
Oh, your third?
Yes.
All right. And Dad acts as the GC?
So this is the general contractor, I am the realtor, and we have enjoyed working together, combining our expertise, so we really appreciate the acknowledgement.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I missed you at the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right. I'm not sure if our next recipient is here. Brian, are you out there, Brian Hodis? All right. Brian was supposed to be here tonight, but Brian Hodis is the owner of the Bronson Building, so that's at 8 North Main Street. That's one of our central buildings right at the intersection of Main Park and County Streets. In case you didn't notice the stone on the corner, it was built in 1904 and is a commercial building right in the heart of the city. Mr. Hodis has renovated the interior while bringing new businesses to the downtown area, as well as cleaning, painting the building's exterior, and repairing and restoring the bay windows. In addition, during the Historical Society's Inside Uptown event, Mr. Hodis allowed visitors, we got to go up on the roof, so we got a bird's eye view of the city. It was really amazing. He continues to work with various city groups and is committed to reviving the downtown area. So. Take a little sip of water. Our next recipient is Lorraine May. Lori is here. So, Ms. May lives at 2123 3rd Street. I have to be accurate. 23 3rd Street. I messed that up on the envelope. And continues to maintain her classic Queen Anne style home located on the corner of 3rd and Jefferson Streets. The asymmetrical exterior is clad in the style's characteristic shingle patterns, and it's painted in a classic tri-color scheme. Miss May was concerned that she had already received an award for her house, but I told her as long as she keeps making it look beautiful, we'll keep giving her awards. So, thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right. Our next recipient is Diana Holmes, 198 County Street. Uh-oh, all right. Baby's coming too. She's got to show off her onesie. So Ms. Holmes' house was built in the late 1910s and is a beautiful example of a colonial revival four-square home along County Street. The house sits across from Capron Park and retains many of its original exterior elements. And recently, the windows and front porch were repaired and painted, as well as a refreshing of the landscape. And we have another new member of the family.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Did everyone see the baby has an Attleboro onesie on? Thank you so much, everyone. From Ryan and Sons. Thank you. What's your name?
Clara May.
Clara May.
Yes, Clara May.
Miss Clara May. All right, nice to meet you. All right, our next recipient is Anthony Zito and Mian Wang for their house on 32 Carpenter Street. Mr. Zito and Ms. Wang are being honored for their work on their Queen Anne style home on Carpenter Street. Built in the early 1900s by the Blaze family, this multi-family home sits still retains its unique shingle pattern and copper tower finial. Some of these words are getting me tonight. When recently restoring the front porch, the shingles were replaced and the house was painted in a vibrant tricolor scheme. Thank you again for caring for your historic home.
And if we need to redo this, I'm sure we can do that.
Good evening, everybody. We just wanted to say thank you to the Historical Commission. Ian and I think that Attleboro is a beautiful city, and we're honored to play a part in preserving its beauty. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, I'm not sure if Jeff Levine is here or Josh. No? All right. So Jeff Levine and family are being honored for their house on 143 Union Street. This large Italianate multi-family house and large carriage barn were built in the 1880s for local jeweler Willard Engley. Mr. Levine and the St. Pierre family have done a wonderful job maintaining the property and choosing a beautiful palette of paint colors to complement this Victorian home. The carriage barn is the size, I'm going to say, of an average house. The triplex Italianate is enormous, so it was a lot to take on and repaint a house and a barn of that size. Some of you may know the property. It was Larry St. Pierre's home, who was a member of the Attleboro Historical Commission. So we honor them for taking care of it. All right. Karen, is Karen here? Karen, all right. All right, Karen Kamon is going to accept the award on behalf of Wind Development. Come on up, Karen. So Wind Development took the Watson Newell factory on Mechanic Street and turned it into Sterling Lofts, so you might recognize some of those different names. So the sprawling Watson Newell Company factory building on Mechanic Street and created 91 units for an over 55 community. The original portion of the building was built in 1889 along the 10 Mile River and Mechanics Ponds, which were used to power the mill. Not only did Wynn renovate and restore the building, incorporating many original historic elements into their design, but they also allowed the Historical Commission on multiple times to come in and tour the building and photo document it as the process went along. In addition, AACS came in with a 360-degree camera, some kind of special camera, to film it as well. In 2020, it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places and was awarded the Mayor Thomas Menino Legacy Award by Preservation Massachusetts. We hope our belated award lets them know how much their project means to the city as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, I am just going to check my list. We had a number of homeowners who weren't able to be here for a variety of reasons, but I still wanted to go through their recognition if that's all right with everyone. Brian French, that's your cue. All right, so we have quite a family affair when it comes to taking some of our historic homes and turning them into or revitalizing them for new families to use. So our next award is for RMA Pleasant Homes, and Roxanne Pasella is the general contractor and realtor who redid two houses on Pleasant Street, numbers 700 and 734. Both houses were built in the mid to late 19th century and retain so much of their original character. On both their exteriors and interiors, I got a little sneak peek on Zillow, and while they now have some modern touches and amenities for today's family, these historic properties live on. And so they really did a nice job, or she really did a nice job with those two properties. And I said family affair because her brother John DeVerne has Solaris Homes, LLC, and he is in the process of renovating 750 Pleasant Street. So he restored this this Cape Cod style farmhouse built around 1780 and includes a large bank barn in the back. So I'm not sure if everyone knows which property that is on Pleasant Street, but there's a huge barn, and it's probably one of my favorite places in the city. He's gonna let some of us go in and photo document. So the exterior of the main house has been rehabilitated, and many of its original features have been retained. Mr. DeVerne plans to stabilize the barn before he finishes the property. So I'm very excited about that one. My next award is for Charles and Diane Anderson at 334 Reed Street. Charles and Diane Anderson were unable to attend tonight's program, but they continue to lovingly care for their early 19th century Greek Revival home on Reed Street. It's located right across from Anderson Farm, their family farm, in case those names sound familiar to you. They recently painted the home's exterior, shingles, and doors, and of course, they have beautiful landscaping as well. All right, our next award is for Judith Baker. Judith, are you here? I wasn't sure if Judy was coming tonight. All right. Judy lives at 27 Upland Road. Miss Baker's home was built around 1927 on Upland Avenue in the area known as Mortgage Hill. This colonial revival house has a classic front portico covering the front door, which is surrounded by that upper fan light of glass and then side lights. Recently repainted, this architectural feature makes quite a statement at the home's entrance. All right. Our next recipient is Addison Ruiz Lopez for 198 South Main. Mr. Lopez had to work, so he was sad not to be here. This house was built in the late 1890s and has previously won a preservation award by the former owner who lovingly restored it. Unfortunately, if you're familiar with this house at 198 South Main, it suffered a devastating fire in 2020. Mr. Luis Lopez then acquired the property and has put a lot of work into restoring the home for his family. The home's round tower and ornate swagged decorative trim, kind of makes it look like a wedding cake, is painted in a beautiful slate blue and white, making it really stand out along South Main Street. The Ruiz Lopez family look forward to learning more about their historic home. All right, and Jonathan and Jamie Bailey, 63 May Street. All right, they also were not able, they have a unique house on May Street. I know May Street is quite the cut through, but it was originally built by the Hartwells, and it's known locally as the Thrasher House, and it's a kit house from Sears and Roebuck. So if you're familiar with mail order houses, this is one of them. So it was built or assembled in around 1916, and the Baileys have chosen a dramatic color scheme that accentuates the house's large open eaves, a characteristic of its arts and crafts style. So, they do have the plans for the house, and they're gonna do a little bit more investigating, looking for some of the marks. And our last one in the houses category is for Lisa Dennison and Jesse Champagne. All right, this is 43 Horton Street. 43 Horton Street is a small Cape Cod style house, and it was a little hidden. It's on the dead end of Horton Street between Pleasant and the TI campus. It's kind of sandwiched in there on Horton. And imagine our surprise when we went to go do a site visit to photograph it, because we thought the house was going to be demolished, and we discovered that it was a 1700s house that we had missed in our previous historical surveys. We were even happier when we learned that the property was not going to be demolished, but rehabilitated and is once again being occupied. So we look forward to doing more research on this property so that we can share with the owners. So our third category, our last category, is for projects. So these are projects throughout the city. And our first project is for Doreen Velma Rollins and Centenary United Methodist Church. Doreen created, as part of Centenary United Methodist Church's 150th celebration, she created a museum-quality timeline along the wall of their meeting room. The timeline incorporates the history of the church, along with other important local, state, and national events. The timeline was also showcased at our Inside Uptown program hosted by the Historical Society. Did you want to say a few words?
Thank Thank you. Well, I'll probably make up for everybody else who didn't speak right now. I'm just going to read, I thought it was appropriate. First, I want to thank the Attleboro Historical Commission for this great honor and as a recipient of this award and all the hard work you do to continue to preserve Attleboro's history. So I'm just going to read the blurb. It was a 12-panel timeline that I did, and on the first panel, it basically had the credits, and I thought that would just be appropriate to read that because it wasn't a one-person project. So I started out, it was, come here, Sue, you were there. I did not know how this historic journey was going to turn out when I started reading Lottie Perry and Ruth Blanchard's history of the church in 2013, since I was a fairly new member. I had just had a feeling, or a calling, you might say, to honor them in the anticipation of our upcoming 150th anniversary. What started out as adding a picture of every pastor to their history turned into this timeline after witnessing one at the Medway Community Church where I was playing a summer band concert. I cannot begin to even calculate the thousands of hours late at night Googling, researching, emailing, or phone calling since 2013 that has amassed. But I do know I owe a debt of gratitude to some special people who helped make my journey filled with the aha moments. Special thank yous to the following were the many members past and present that contributed to keeping our history preserved in the vault as the Centenary Historical Archive records unpublished. Annual reports, secretary files, newspaper clippings, pastor recollections, newsletters, and correspondence, internal club records, groups and societies, scrapbooks, members' directories, members' photographs and memoirs. So much material it was hard to decide what to use. Lottie Perry and Ruth Blanchard, past members and authors of Centenary Remembers 1865 to 1984, and then several members of our church did the updates through to 2016. There was also Alice Studley's Love for the Church Through Endowments in her history, creating the changing years, a historical pageant of Centenary's beginning. Members whose endowments came at much needed times from Fisher, Studley, Ingraham, Coulter, and more. Diana Frame, whose endless reminders getting the membership to complete their stories and her tireless support for the 150th celebration. And Kara Jackson, receiver of my many, oops, I have another one, emails, archivist and special collections librarian at the BU School of Theology Library. And last but not least, Mr. Ray Watson, master craftsmanship for mounting it. And we did a complimentary history of the book, and the library has a copy. If anybody wants to read what we did and what we put together, it's right there. You can get it right at the reference library. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I didn't know about the book, so that was good to know. All right, our next award goes to Alex Harrop. Alex find his way up here. We're moving along pretty quickly, I have to say. I'm impressed. Alex is a Boy Scout from Troop 25, and he restored, we have to say, a horseless carriage for his Eagle Scout project. The carriage had been in the Parks and Forestry collection, but was in disrepair. Alex researched and restored the carriage, which is now seasonally displayed in Capron Park. Is it out there yet? Oh, it's out there now, near the Dennis Street entrance. All right, we're happy. Excellent. Alex is away at college now, so we got lucky that he was back home. He's at the University of Vermont for environmental science, and he was able to be here tonight to accept this award. Did you want to say
Congratulations. So thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. It was a great surprise email to get in the middle of finals week. I would like to thank Derek and Parks, who was my partner in this, Lori Barry, who was my mentor at Eagle Scouts, and my grandfather, who was really my guiding light throughout this, who has unfortunately passed away at this time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Wow, we did a lot in a little bit of time. I'm impressed. I hope that you're not all too fidgety just yet. So our next two awards are for Derek Corsi and Jeff DiMarzio, and that is for the Wolfington Smokestack replica and sign. So after the Wolfington Smokestack was dismantled due to deterioration and obsolescence, the Historical Commission felt that a small-scale replica would be a fitting tribute to the industrial history of the city. Derek Corsi from Parks and Forestry helped the commission to design and install an interpretive sign highlighting the major factories throughout the city and helped with the landscaping afterwards. And then Jeff DiMarzio was consulted and commissioned to build the replica across the 10-Mile River in the Judy Robbins Park, which was located in the shadow of the original smokestack. Through a variety of projects, Jeff and Derek have repeatedly shown their commitment and support to the history of Attleboro. Thank you so much.
There we go. Awesome.
Anyone? Anyone want to say a few words?
I would say I was honored to get involved in this project. My family has a long history in Attleboro, and it was a fun project, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'd just like to say this is the first project Jeff and I worked together on, and it's now the blossoming of a great relationship, and it's the first of a few history reviving projects that we've been working on in the city and in Capron Park, so thank you.
All right, we have our final two awards. How's my timing, Brian? No word? All right. All right. So, I'm gonna do the reading. You want to see the video first, or you want to hear about it first? Let's hear about it first. All right. So our final two recipients are George Leonard and Frank Durant for the South Attleboro song and video. So George, aka Georgie Porgy, and producer Frank Durant wrote and produced a song about South Attleboro. The song is a collection of reminiscence of South Attleboro landmarks and people, and Mr. Leonard creatively put into song the memories shared by so many citizens of the city. Mr. Durant produced a video that helped to encapsulate and visualize these memories. So we have the video for you to play.
Randy for a smoke, talking about old folks, vanilla coke and schoolyard jokes. Leadham's hot west store, fishing on the oars, just down the street a candy store. Going south, way down south, South Attleboro. Before in 95, people had to drive Route 1, the only way to Boston town. They'd stop at Whiteman's Diner, nothing could be finer, the longest diner known the world around. Gone south, way down south, South Attleboro. Then we'd talk about the girls we used to know, Monique, Sally Mae, and Leslie Snow. To the school dance we would go, dancing toe to toe. Wherever did Jeannie April go? Gone south, way down south, South Attleboro. Way down south, way down south, way down south, South Attleboro. That's the place I was born. All we knew, now gone, 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 gone south, way down south, South Attleboro. Breeze Pond in the fall, kids playing ball, in trouble standing in the hall. mon cool long, assembly and song. Is my youth all but gone? Down south, way down south, South Attleboro. It's where Abbott's Lou got wed, old schoolhouse painted red, factory workers at Luigi's being fed. Remember that old dog in the pool that we found dead? All the memories have fled, fled, fled. Gone south, gone south, South Attleboro. So we took our last huff out of coffee, always rough. No more stuff to talk of off the cuff. We all had enough, saying goodbye is always tough. All up in smoke in one last puff. Gone south, way down south, South Attleboro. Way down south, way down south, way down south, South Attleboro. That's the place I was born. All we knew, now gone, 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 gone south, way down south, South Attleboro. Gone south, way down south, South Attleboro.
George and Frank, do you want to? Whoop. Next video. Bonus points if you know what language that was. I thought it was German for a minute, but then I'm not sure if it was any language that I reckon. Danish? All right. All right. Did you want to say a few words?
Sure, Frank, you want to say something?
First of all the money in the budget was spent on coffee and cigarettes. I apologize, Betty Fuller, who was my teacher since elementary school at Hill Roberts. You didn't yell at me, but you got stirred at me in the playground, says, don't ever cheat. I'm not playing the guitar in that. I'm pretending to play the guitar, so I do apologize for that. I see Larry Fenton there, our old town crier. We used to have Attleboro Senior Day with an Attleboro senior. And he came into the class and he says, hey, you look like a weirdo. We should hang out together. And I said, oh, okay. And we had to make a plant and plant the plant. And he told everybody in a large crowd that our plant was the best because we had the best fertilizer. So there's an inside joke you had to be there to get it. But I was saying before, it's funny how a photo from 1988 has become historic. My father ran for city council twice, didn't get in. But every time we came here, he'd look at the class of '88 and class of 1990. And there's so many, I'm sorry. I look at photos of Sue Flood, Tom Dutson, and Tony V. Mr. Tony Viveros, who love this city, they love their community, and they gave their time and their energy to the city. And Tony V's last words to me, he was upset. He said, it's all gone. There's a certain house that he grew up in, or a certain location, certain people. He kept saying, it's gone, it's gone. And so that was the motivation to do this. And without Georgie Porgy, it couldn't have happened. So thank you, George.
Thank you, Craig. Actually, Frank wrote, I did that little hook that's way down south, but you wrote all the words to this.
It's like it's a 60-40 split. You got 60.
Well, I only corrected the ones to make it fit the music, but that was it.
But you created the music.
Yeah. But I'm very honored to be here in Attleboro and South Attleboro since my childhood. It's been a fabulous childhood, and the city's been absolutely wonderful for me. And I think of all the teachers that I had, every one of them was just wonderful. And all the way from my first time at kindergarten, I even remember my teacher's name, and I always, how could you forget, Betty Longenecker. Did anybody know Betty Longenecker? And I had just the most wonderful teachers. And musically, I had Joe Bono, and I had Mr. Sternlight and Richard Silva, and Miss Hall in the early days. She used to have a little pitch pipe, and she would sing, and she would always tell me, "You're a terrible singer." Well, it's a story. Well, you know, us singers, you know, that Leonard Cohen, when he went to his first concert at the Newport Folk Festival, he said to his manager, "Why am I here? I can't sing." And the manager said, "None of you guys can sing. You want to sing, you could go to the Metropolitan Opera." And I'd like to have one little story, I just thinking about it when I was sitting there, is Mr. Silva, wonderful man. Because I played guitar and I played bass, and I wanted to do something for a credit, so I played in the marching band, but you can't play bass or guitar, so I picked up the trumpet, and I sort of learned how to play it by myself. And I'd be playing in the band, and one day Mr. Silva decided he was going to put us all in quartets so he could hear where the awful noise was coming from. So he's such a kind man, he said, "George, just hold the trumpet, don't blow into it." But I thank you all so much, and I hope Mr. Joseph Joyce has forgiven me for, I was such a troublemaker. And he was a wonderful man, and I just wish I could go out and have a coffee with him. That would have been lovely. But thank you so much. Sure.
So we have a final surprise and guest. So some of you know George's story, but George was unable to finish high school. He would have been the class of 1965?
You know, I don't know.
Sounds good. 1965 we're going to go with. We have Rob Geddes here from the school committee to present something special.
Hi, Mr. Leonard. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So it was fantastic hearing all of your stories about your time in the Attleboro Public Schools, but it turns out that you left the Attleboro Public Schools without something. So I'm going to step back so we stop getting the feedback. And I would like to present to you on behalf of the Attleboro School Committee and the Superintendent of Schools. This certifies that George Leonard has achieved the distinction of a successful music career and widespread celebration of the city of Attleboro since attending Attleboro High School, and is therefore awarded this honorary diploma on the 25th day of May 2023. Signed. Congratulations. So maybe not the class of 65, but definitely the class of 23. Congratulations.
Do I get to toss it now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to lose it. Thank you all so much.
Do you want to say any additional words?
I'm just very touched, and I can't thank you any much. Any questions? You have any questions? Anything you'd like to know? I'd like to hear a song. I get the happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. I'll sing a song about my hair, okay? I don't have my guitar. It was written for a TV show, and I think it was not that long ago, maybe 20 years ago, but the show never went on. It was for a new show that they were having. They asked me to do a song about my hair, so I wrote a little song called "Just Look at My Hair," although there's not much to look at anymore. My beautiful hair, it's who I am, it's what I wear. Look at my hair, my beautiful hair. You have my blessings. Go on and stare. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Rob. Oof, All right, well, our program went a little quicker than we had anticipated, so Rob rushed over here from another commitment, so we're glad he made it in time. And that was our last award, our last surprise of the night. We do have punch, drinks and some cookies off to the side, and we really appreciate everyone who came here and takes pride in their property, in their city, and just makes Attleboro beautiful. Thank you.